to the latest webinar on Base27 releases. My name is Eldert Karstens. With me is, as usual, Berend Tel.
Hello.
Who will do most of the presentation, as you know, at least those that are following us more closely. So actually, just a few remarks up front. First of all, feel free to ask questions. Use the chat. Chat is public, so that you know everybody can see your questions, but also all the answers. That's one thing, and you can ask your questions at any moment, but we'll always have a little moment at the end where we can answer any remaining questions. So that's basically it. I give the floor to Berend now.
Okay, thank you, Eldert, and welcome to you all for this webinar on the latest changes and new features in Base27. I've prepared a small agenda, which I would like to start sharing with you shortly, and then we will dive into Base27, so you know what's been coming ahead. First off, we will take a quick look at NIS2, the new frameworks, the Dutch law framework that we added, and some updates to the Base27, to the ISO 27001. 2023. Then we will look into custom main objects and the multiple via models. It's a connected feature. Many customers actually already have this feature for quite a while, but we've now released it to all customers potentially. And then one that we think is very important for the future of Base27. That's the AI policy generation, our first steps using AI. Teams and team leaders, a feature that's perhaps not known to everyone, so it's good to have that I think demonstrated and see what the options provide. The bulk edit option, I think a very powerful option for administrators mainly. Some changes on applying the scope and risk analysis, working with audits, the planning to set it up and execution of it, and finally a small one, changes on the editing of plans. So let's try and dive right into it and go into Base27. So first up is the new frameworks and updates to them. Let's see, it's obviously located in the framework section, and there's a lot of buzz around the NIS2 nowadays. And what we've prepared the law, the directive from the EU as a framework within Base27. It's there in its entirety, which makes it possible for you to not only get the texts and main items from this law available within Base27, but also to prepare what we call a statement of applicability, just like you know with the ISO 27001, where it concerns the more controls that this law has within it. That mainly refers to Article 21, and there's a list of stuff that as an organization, when you apply to the NIS2, actually, you need to take care of. So this includes some risk management requirements, incident handling, business continuity, etc. We'll not dive into it in more detail, but it works just as you are probably well known with about whether it's in scope for your management system, and you can link policies to it, risks, countermeasures, etc. So it's all there. There's a new law coming up that actually provides more detailed requirements about the NIS2, and we will incorporate that into Base27 as well as soon as it is officially available. So please take a look at our next updates to see if any changes there are being provided. Together with the NIS2, we also provided another framework, which was the Dutch law framework, or Nederlandse wetten. We've just provided this in Dutch, as it is a Dutch law framework, obviously, and also because the frameworks or the laws themselves are in Dutch as well. What it does, it provides you with the common set of laws that apply to, well, virtually any organization that wants to have this available as such. And that obviously includes the WBNI, de Wet Beveiliging Netwerk en Informatiesystemen, actually the predecessor of the NIS2, which is still applicable at this point. It contains the GDPR, AVG, but not as a whole, because we have the AVG also as a complete framework, just like the NIS2. But in this case, the AVG is kind of summarized and all the important articles are included. For every law, we have a special control which states whether or not this law is applicable to your organization. And you will see a description taken from the description of the law itself when that specific law is applicable. And if it is, you can obviously take it into account and then process the sub controls, the actual law as well, and take it into account into your management system. Now, as it is only consisting of the most common laws that apply to organizations, there might be some laws that apply to your organization specifically that we did not include. Now, we've always had the option to have custom frameworks added to Base27, but now you can extend this basic framework with your own set of items that you would like to add. So normally there's no such thing as a plus button on the framework, but on this one there is. And if you click it, you can create your own controls, adding to the framework that might identify laws that are specifically applicable to your own organization. So it's extendable, and as such, it's a flexible framework to make a good implementation of your laws and regulation compliancy requirements. We are planning to provide a similar framework for healthcare as well. So linked to the NEN 517, we plan to have a framework that covers the most common health laws that might apply and that you need to investigate. And again, it will be extendable, so it will not cover all of it. We will focus on information security for this set of laws, but it will be provided in the same way. If you don't have this framework available yet, and that applies to the NIS2 as well, you can just ask for it by support, and we will enable both of these frameworks on your request, because they are given out for free, and we will maintain them, obviously. Okay. Let's take a last look on frameworks by looking at the 27001 update. We actually added a amendment that's been published, which is basically on Article 4.1, which now includes that the organization shall determine whether climate change is a relevant issue. So that's now incorporated as well. But more importantly, I think, is that within the framework, we now also have the opportunity to identify some of the attributes, as it is called by the framework, for example, on cybersecurity concept, information security concepts, etc., where you can see that, for example, cybersecurity concept, it links, it identifies certain controls to the well-known identify, protect, respond, recover, as they are stated here, for certain controls and mostly used in NIST, for example. You can report them here. You can search for them in the search box. And when you look at a specific control, you can also see that these tags, as it is highlighted here, are available as well, all of them. And here again, you can see the cyber security concepts, information security concepts, etc. So all of these tags have now been added to the framework to be more compliant with the actual content of that framework and work with it as well. Okay, next up is the custom objects, main objects that is, and the use of multiple BIA models. One thing to start off with is that the custom main objects is a feature basically for enterprise editions. So in your standard edition, you might not see this feature, but do not despair, because what we do offer by support is to have some extensions based on the same functionality available for standard editions as well. Anyway, given that you have an enterprise edition, you now have beneath setup, you have a new option, manage main objects. And here you can see that not only the default and built-in objects like information systems, suppliers, and processes, you now also have the opportunity to add certain items like facilities, products that you offer, or maybe some production plans that you manage, which you can then all use to just like you would for information systems, for example, start your risk analysis for, do your audits on, have some reporting on. It really extends your context of what your management system aims to cover. So in this case, we have 3 items in use: facility, products, and services. And when we do, we will see that within the context menu, there are now a number of new items available. And here we can see that, for example, the facilities, we have logistics hub, offices, a production facility, maybe on products. Yeah, we obviously have something like Base27. So stuff that you provide for your customers, you can now identify as a separate entity, so to say, within Base27. And from here, you can actually, yeah, like I said, do a lot of stuff, like risk management, link your incidents, have your compliance checks in place, etc. One thing it also implies is that the BIA, the business impact assessment that we use throughout Base27 on this level, is also available for these custom objects. Now, typically for information security, you would have something like availability, confidentiality, and integrity, and you can just set it as you would do commonly within your system and work with it. However, you can now also set different models for different objects. So if we look at that one, and now we go to setup, manage models, and then BIA models, you can now see that not only do we have a CIA model for information security, but for suppliers, we have a model that covers the environmental governance and social requirements that we would like to see at these different suppliers. So for suppliers, we apply a different model, or an additional model, actually, if you can see, because we also apply the CIA, but we now also apply ESG model for suppliers. So let's take a look at that. And well, let's take one, just random. and at the BI. And now you can see that there are different models located beneath each other, and you can score them, set the levels that you want to apply for these models, just like you would for any model. Again, like I said, for some customers, this might see like, okay, we are already used to it. We never known otherwise, but this is now available to all customers, as stated. Linked to that, I might also want to address the feature of regarding risk management, where you have, for example, a global risk analysis, and within the scope, you can see that these facilities, products, services can now be selected as well. If we would say, okay, well, actually, this risk analysis also addresses the product Base27. Okay, that's nice. If we do and we navigate to the next stop, the system will now prompt you to apply this change in scope. So you added a reference on the scope, and you already have some risk identified within this risk analysis. So do you want to apply these change references to your existing set of risks as you have them available within this risk analysis? If you click yes, then it will apply the references to all these risks that have been already identified. And when we look at it, for example, and then to the references, of course, there should be a reference to, yeah, like it is, Base27 for products, which previously, you have to trust me on that one, I guess, wasn't there yet. This also applies when you include existing risks. Previously, they were just included as is, but if you include them, it again prompts you whether you want to apply the scope, the references, in this case, the Base27 product reference to this risk. And if you click yes, it will be included on this one. And again, the reference here should include Base27 on product. So you can now more easily manage all your risks according to the scope as it applies to your risk analysis. Okay, next topic in my list, which I presented just earlier on, was the AI policy generation. It's our first step on AI, using AI. Well, we've been using it within Base27 or within Example, I must say, a little bit more, but we now introduce our first steps using AI in Base27 as well. We are quite aware that the use of AI is subject to policies of your own organization. As such, this feature is not enabled by default. So you have to enable it as an administrator for your organization first to actually use it. This is done at the setup, obviously, and then going to the settings. And here you can see there's a new feature toggle that you can use, which is allow the use of AI. I obviously already enabled it, but you may use that as well to enable the use of AI. Once you do, and click save, when you look at certain policies, for example, the operational planning, and then go into the editor, there's a new button with a distinctive styling, which we aim to reuse for all AI-related features. So you are quite aware that you are using AI. You can now generate your policies using AI. Now, you have some choices there, because what it does is you have the option to actually state what your policy, what this text should be about, what it should take into account, what it actually should provide, what kind of text. It's a policy in this case. And maybe if you want to, you can use certain sections for it. So let's go into it. We need some operational planning, and let's say, and risk treatment. And we need to take into account that we are a small international organization. organization, that is. Um, the A is somewhat difficult, apparently. Well, let's stick to the policies and, well, on the responsibilities, let's say we want to have roles and responsibilities, and we also want to do something about reporting, have a section about that as well. This, together with possible references to the framework that you've included on this article, and which you can manage yourself here as well, will be submitted to our AI partner, that's OpenAI. And you have to agree on each submission that you agree that this information is to be sent to OpenAI. We do use it in a way that the information that we submit is not reused for building and improving models. So you are assured that it's not popping up in some future model or something. But you still have to consent to using the information and then submit it to OpenAI. Once you do, and you say, okay, let's generate the text, there's a small pop-up saying it's generating content. There's also some progress going on. You might want to have to wait for a little, which you are probably used to. And now you see it happening, that this policy is being set by OpenAI. Again, clearly identifying that it is generated by AI by using coloring. But obviously, in the end, you would like to have that removed. And if you do, you can select it all and use the eraser for that is for styling. And it's just the text as you would like to have it. Well, this remains there as well. You need to remove that as well. But, in the end, you have a policies set up. I would say a template of a policy generated by AI. And you need to review it, see whether there are no obvious wrongdoings by the AI, maybe making it more specific to your own organization, etc. Note it should work both in Dutch as well as in English, etc. So you're free to work with this as you like. It's not only for policies. Basically, any procedure or checklist or article that you want to draw up, you can reuse this for. If you are open to it, if your organization allows the use of AI, we think it's a neat feature, obviously, which you could do similarly with ChatGPT, but it's now integrated into Base27 with a more dedicated prompting, etc. So it's a powerful feature as such. Okay, I will reuse this scenario probably later on. Anyway, one feature that's also available within Base27, and some organizations really adopt it, others do not touch it at all, is the use of Teams functionality. What are teams? Well, basically, it's a group of people. It's teams, groups, it's a little bit used interchangeably. But if you look at, no, not settings, my bad. But on manage users, you can see that there's now another option there, Teams. It was already always available when you look at a certain user, you would have this team selection available already. But now you can also manage the teams themselves as a separate list, adding them or changing them, etc. But you can also add a team leader. That's a new functionality on this one. Not only that it is organized in a separate table, also you can see that you can assign certain team leads. And these team leads have the opportunity to manage their own team. So it's not up to the administrator to maintain the correct list of members of the team, but the team lead might do that on behalf of the administrator. So they can add members, for example, Joyce Huiskamp, we want to add it to the team, and Johnny Robin, we don't have any more on the team anymore. So what does it look like? Well, once you have this set up, there will be an additional menu item, team assignments, which now allows you to not only view your own assignments, which you are well aware of on My Assignments, or if you are a power user with administrative rights, you have something like All Assignments. You now have also the team assignments. So you can see all assignments from the team members as organized. So if we look again at engineering, we saw that I believe Erwin Buursing and some others were part of that team. And yes, we can see that indeed some of these members now also are part of the team, and I will be able to not only see their assignments, but also, well, depending on the security level that you have, work with them and work on behalf of them together with them. I can also see that who's members of this team and who's the team lead, depending obviously on the roles that I have. For example, if we now would switch to Jan Jansen, we saw that he's a team member as well. He doesn't have the team option, but that's because Jan Jansen is an administrator. Again, I'm off at the wrong location. But he doesn't have the team role. So all users that you want to provide with this option also need to have the team role. And once they do, and they need to switch, log in again to have this role applied. But for example, for Erwin Buursing, you can already see the team assignments, and he can also manage the team as he is the team leader there. So it's a powerful feature to do more collaboration, have access to more information, work together more efficiently. And if your organization is organized according to such teams, it may be a powerful option for you to work with Base27 as well. Okay, next up, let's switch back to my own profile. It's the bulk edit option. You might have noticed it after the update from last week, well, the week before, I guess, where you, once you select one or more items, you have an option that's called the bulk edit, which is similar maybe to edit table, but now you can do it in one go. You get a large list of fields available. And for example, you might want to set the owner of the selection to a specific user. Let's say we make it all Jan Jansen. I could also say, okay, I want the type for this countermeasure to be a corrective one. And maybe I want to clear some information like the deadline. When clearing it, it makes the value that currently is applied to these objects empty. If I now click apply, it will summarize what it's going to change. You selected six entities, and the fields deadline, owner, and type will be modified. I click apply, and all of these Jan Jansen have been modified to in owner. Well, the deadline have been cleared. I'm actually not sure if there was a deadline, so but all of it is applied in one go. So a very powerful option, also one that you know, a lot of changes have been made, and you have to apply it carefully. As such, it's only available to administrators to do this bulk operations on all kinds of objects within Base27. Next, it's about the auditing, and it's almost the last option I want to discuss today, which we have made some small changes, not too much, I guess, but for one thing, the option to start the audit based on an audit plan. It was a feature that was already available, but only shown at the end of the table, which in many cases made it disappear. So in the default view, you would now see it at the beginning of the table, which makes more sense. Also, the buttons now color depending on whether they are actually to be executed. So if we look at this first one, which is colored highlighted, you can see, yeah, it should already be in progress. Well, it is in progress. Others are not yet or not at all. So they are kind of dim. You can start working on them, but not necessarily so. When you then look at the plan themselves, there are some slight changes as well. The top has been renamed, but that's a small one, but to make it more clear that it is about the planning of the audits. And you have some other features as well. They are, again, quite small, but in the end, it provides you with some different options to set up your audit plan. For example, there's now a reference, which is actually filled kind of automatically with a numbering and stuff. But you could use these references also to, instead of having this, well, let's organize it correctly. To not have the order or something just depicted there, but maybe have your agenda of the audit shown here with some timing information and what the opening, in this case, of the audit should do. Then next step is scope of the ISMS. What are you going to talk about, etc. Notice there is no clear reference to the control that this specific audit applies to. Also notice it's not a single control, but you can actually select multiple controls if you like for a single audit within the audit plan. Now, given this approach, you can now do a somewhat different, working with your audit plan. Let's take a little bit more space here. And start working your way through according to the agenda of your audit, rather than having all of the norm controls in a long list. You can now say, okay, I want to talk about the scope of the ISMS. I have some topics to apply. Maybe you want to have some references to your framework. That might be the case. But now you can turn it around, and whatever you say, whenever you say, okay, there's something to make a remark about, for example, leadership has not been addressed sufficiently. And we would say, well, that's a possible improvement, whatever. I can now also say, okay, but that actually refers to leadership, obviously, and maybe something more specific, leadership and commitment. So I can, while I'm doing the audit, I can say, okay, this finding actually refers to a specific item of the framework, rather than having to go through all of the list. I guess it's a way of working that you can apply. Obviously, let's say the more common way of doing it is still available as well. You can still have all of your controls available here, go through them, work your way through, do your findings, etc. And maybe skip when you don't have anything to comment on it. That's still available. Although, if you like, you can configure to actually create findings based on, what you are discovering during the audit themselves. Okay, That's the changes regarding the audits. Leaves me for one final one. It's a small one again. Let's open up the menu. It's at setup, manage plans. We do know that there is some difficulty in working with plans. We try to make it a little bit more easier for all users. But if your plan is not activated, meaning it's not in execution, you're not doing tasks to complete this plan, you now have more clear controls on what to do with certain parts of your planning. For example, instead of knowing that you needed to double click, you can now hit the edit button. And for example, previously there was a move plan, so you had to move your entire plan back and forth. You can now also move your planning by each category or phase that you have within your planning. The interface has slightly changed, but I think that's all very, very minor. But it's a more clear way of doing your planning. Also, updates to the planning are immediately reflected into the Gantt chart on top, which previously you also had to refresh sometimes. So we managed to get rid of all these, well, obfuscating functionalities and things that might throw you off setting up a correct plan. So that's it. I was not able to monitor any questions. Maybe there are. Let's go over them. Let's see. Is the webinar being recorded and shared afterwards? Yes, it is. I guess, yeah, Eldad already mentioned that. How safe is the use of OpenAI? Well, I guess there's some discussion possible about it. And I think you have to make a decision on that for your own. That's actually why we don't make it default available. It's actually something that you really need to decide to use it within Base27. And yes, we at Base27 at Example, we've have lots of discussion about it as well. We actually set up an AI policy that we apply within our own organization, within the activities that we do, not only in using it, but also in developing services on top of it. We've published this policy actually on our website, so you may want to check it out there as well. Jaco has the question, should the manage main object feature be visible already or activated by support on request? I guess it should be visible already, but like I said, it's depending on the edition of Base27 that you have. If you have the standard edition, you will not see this option by default. In the enterprise edition, it is. We've decided to do that because the standard edition is really aimed at organizations which we think are kind of more straightforward, if you like. So we don't want to add to the complexity of setting up Base27. And things get more complicated with using multiple lists of main objects and whatnot. On the other hand, we do acknowledge that sometimes it may be very useful to have an additional item within your context menu and having it available for linking it with risks, countermeasures, etc., whatnot. So if you would like to have one item or maybe two items added to your context menu based on this functionality, you may ask support to do that for you on behalf well, basically within your Base27 setup, where you are not able to do it yourself. So I hope that answers the questions so far. Albert, I guess we might want to ask whether there are any other questions.
Yes.
So any questions you have, bring them forward now. that would be convenient, obviously. But if not, I would like to thank all of the attendees for joining us today. I hope it was worth your time having this update on Base27. We will keep up having these webinars every other release, almost, I guess. But yeah, we're happy to see you in future editions as well.
Okay, thank you all for your time.
Bye-bye.